The planet Relia was not quiet. Even after the floods had swallowed cities and forests and mountains, even after its people had fled too. The stars and abandoned their own, the winds still screamed across the endless oceans. The waters still boiled from deep quakes below the surface, and in the middle of this violent planet, something was crying. Captain Ray Carter did not believe in ghosts, but the sound on his ship's channel made him stop. It was not static, it was not an old beacon or signal. It was a voice, soft young crying, and not human. The AI on his ship, Athena, tried to filter the noise. There is no registered frequency from that quadrant. Its said signal is weak and corrupted. Carter leaned forward. He was a war veteran. He had fought on moons with no names. He had seen lies and loyalty both disappear into space. But this sound felt real, and real. Things were rare in the galaxy now. He marked the coordinates Relia. The name blinked red on the nav screen. Flooded planet, biohazard level 5. Abandoned since the Exodus, no life signs reported. And yet the voice came again, barely a whisper, like someone asking not to be forgotten. Prepare descent, he ordered. Athena warned him. Again, it is not safe, Captain. No known resources, high radiation pockets, storms active. But Carter was already locking the course. He did not say why, because he didn't know, not fully. He just knew someone needed help. As his cruiser pierced the thick clouds of Relia, lightning danced like angry spirits around the hull. The ocean below looked endless black and moving like a living thing. He found the signal source near a broken cliff, half swallowed by water, a cave where air still held on. He landed the cruiser on a slanted platform of stone, put on his breathing gear, and stepped into the storm. The cave was dark, but Carter's visor adjusted quickly. He moved with caution, pulse rifle ready, but finger off the trigger. Then he saw them curled in the shadows, a woman with blue skin wrapped around a small child, both trembling, both soaked and shaking. Her eyes glowed faint in the dark, not with anger, but fear. When she saw Carter, she shielded the child with her body. No sound came from her, only from the child, a low, weak whimper, barely alive. Carter raised both hands to show he meant no harm. He placed his rifle on the floor and took a slow step forward. He reached into his pack and pulled out a heat blanket, extended it toward her. The woman did not move. But the child looked at him, eyes wide and silver, curious, even through the pain. It was a baby girl, alien, but innocent. She reached out a tiny hand toward the light on Carter's glove and touched it. The mother gasped, as if she feared what would happen, but nothing did. Carter knelt, put the blanket around the child first, then offered food cubes, nutrients, not tasty but warm. They ate. Slowly, like it was the first meal in days. Maybe it was. Carter did not ask questions yet. Instead, he checked the child's vitals. Her pulse was fading, temperature too low. She needed medical attention fast. He looked at the mother, she looked back. Still silent, but her eyes had changed, no longer afraid, just tired and full of questions. We need to leave now. Carter said, the storm is rising. The woman stood with the child in her arms, legs shaking, but she nodded. Outside, waves crashed against the cliffs. The sky was black. Lightning near. Carter activated his beacon and called Athena for emergency pickup as the cruiser returned to the landing zone. He turned back once and saw the mother staring at the sky, not with hope, but with wonder. Like she never expected to see stars again, and above them, hidden in the storm, something else watched from the water, waiting. Rain fell like shattered glass from the skies of Relia, sharp, cold, without mercy. The storm had not stopped since the day the oceans rose. It howled through broken cliffs and dead cities. It swallowed screams and turned mountains into memories. And in the middle of this storm, a man walked with 2 aliens in his arms. Captain Carter moved quickly through the ruined valley, one hand on his wrist scanner, the other holding the child wrapped in a thermal cloth. The mother followed behind him, limping, her breath shallow, but her eyes never leaving her daughter. She had not spoken a single word, not in her language, not in his. But she had chosen to follow him. That was enough. For now, Athena, his ship AI, guided him through the rocks. With a pulsing blue light on his visor, the cruiser had auto-docked 50 meters away, waiting on a flat surface between 2 ancient towers. Carter kept looking up, not because of the rain, but because something felt wrong, like the planet was watching them, and not kindly. The cliffs around them held carvings, old symbols, alien scripts glowing faint under the stormlight. Raelian, he guessed. Warnings maybe, or prayers left behind when the sky gods stopped listening. The mother stumbled once Carter turned to help her. But she shook her head, stood on her own, stronger than she looked. He respected that he had seen soldiers cry after one day of mud and gunfire. She had survived weeks in a cave with a child, and no food. As they climbed the final ridge, a shape moved behind them in the floodwaters. It was long, silent, and not made by nature. Carter paused, turned slowly. Nothing there, just waves and lightning. But his instincts tightened, the kind of tight that saved him in 10 wars. He sped up. They reached the cruiser, a sleek gray vessel half hidden in fog. The ramp lowered as he approached. Athena spoke in his earpiece. Scans detect unknown life forms. Captain confirmed transport status. He ignored the protocol. Override, he said. They are under my protection. Athena hesitated for a second longer than usual. Confirmed, the AI replied. Welcome aboard. Carter helped the mother inside. The child was cold, but alive. He placed her in the medpod and activated the scan. Blue light wrapped around her small body, showing internal wounds, low oxygen, minor organ stress, nothing fatal, but she needed rest. The mother hovered nearby, watching with silent panic. Hands clenched, eyes full of storms. Carter stepped aside, let her see everything. She finally spoke. Her voice was soft, musical, but tired. Her words were not in standard, but his translator slowly caught the meaning. You are not like the others. Carter raised an eyebrow. What others? She looked at him. Her eyes held galaxies. Your kind came before. They took what they wanted, then they left us behind. We were not perfect, so they let us drown. Carter said nothing. He had heard stories, he had read reports buried under military lies. Maybe some were true, maybe this was one of them. I am not them, he said. Simply, she nodded, but her eyes did not fully trust. Trust was not cheap on drowned worlds. Suddenly the ship shook, not violently. Just enough to notice. Athena spoke again. Object detected, underwater contact tracking movement. Carter rushed to the cockpit, looked at the screen. Something was moving fast beneath the cruiser, big, too big for local sea life. He activated external cameras. Saw a shadow ripple across the floodwater. A ripple that did not match the waves. We need to lift off now, he said. Athena began countdown. The mother held the child close as the engines roared to life. Carter watched the radar. The shadow kept following, even as the cruiser rose into the rain. Then, just as they cleared the valley, the water exploded behind them. And something screamed from below, not in rage, but in hunger. The planet was not done with them, not yet. The cruiser rose into the storm, but safety was not waiting in the sky. Beneath them, something ancient had awakened. It moved through the flooded ruins like a whisper, with teeth tracking them, hunting them. Captain Carter held the controls tight. His eyes scanned the radar, but the creature left no clear trace, only pressure spikes and strange echoes. The alien mother sat behind him, holding her child. Her name was Ilaria. He had learned it from the translator chip during the climb. Her child was Neri, small, barely breathing. But stronger than before. Athena, the ship AI spoke with concern. Unidentified biological life form remains in pursuit. Speed increasing. Suggest evasive maneuvers. Carter ignored the suggestion. He needed answers before they left this cursed place. Plot a course through the ruins, he said. Slow and close. If it wants us, let it come. Ilaria looked at him with disbelief. You invite death, he answered, without turning. Sometimes death needs to be seen before it backs off. The cruiser dipped toward. The half-sunken remains of Aurelian city towers leaned like broken bones, metal spires rusted by acid rain. Giant statues lay face down in the waves, forgotten gods with empty eyes. As they passed through a collapsed archway, the shadow moved. Again fast. Carter felt it under the ship, pressing against the current. The scanner blinked, reading pressure shifts. It was close. Athena reported its size. 15 meters long, possibly more. Organic mass, unstable. Radiation high, unknown classification, hostile potential at 80%. Ilaria whispered to her child, her words like a lullaby of sorrow. She knew this creature. She had seen it before. It was a guardian. Once, she said, made by the elders to protect this world. Now it protects nothing. Only Huns. What breathes? Carter lowered the ship onto a high platform near the old market district. Water reached the edges, but did not touch the base. He grabbed his field-packed thermal gear and 2 beacon traps. You are staying here, he told Ilaria. I will draw it out. You keep her safe. Ilaria stood. If you die, we die too. He gave her a rare smile. Then, I guess I better live. He stepped outside into the pouring rain. The sound of water was endless, yet somehow beneath it, he heard the creature breathing slow and heavy. He placed 1 beacon on the platform edge, then jumped across to a broken bridge. The scanner in his hand blinked. Red target. Approaching, he activated the trap. A burst of pulse energy lit the fog, and for the first time he saw the creature. It rose from the water like a nightmare stitched from metal and flesh. Its body shimmered with wet scales and broken armor. Its face was no face at all, just a wide mouth filled with spinning teeth. Carter ran. The trap flared, catching the beast in mid-leap. It roared, not in pain, but rage. He jumped across to the next platform, set the second trap, then turned to face it. The creature charged. The second trap activated. Just as it lunged, this time, the energy burned deeper. The beast slammed into the edge of the platform, trembled, then slid back into the water, bleeding light. Carter backed away, heart racing. Ilaria met him at the door of the cruiser. She looked past him at the dark water. Is it dead? No, he said. Just angry. As they lifted into the air again, Athena gave new readings. Life form retreating, no longer in pursuit. Carter exhaled relief. Tasted strange after so much silence. Back inside, he checked Nari. Her vitals were stable, but she was still cold. Ilaria wrapped her in blankets and sang quietly. Carter watched for a moment, then turned to the front. He knew the worst was not behind them. This was only the beginning. The storm below had many layers, and some did not end at the ocean. They had survived the creature, but not the secrets it guarded. Those were still waiting, just under the flood. The cruiser climbed through the storm clouds of Relia, leaving the drowned world behind. But the fear inside the ship did not rise away with the wind. Carter kept his hands on the controls, his jaw tense, his eyes shifting between radar and sky. The creature had vanished beneath the waves, yet its presence still echoed in the metal frame of the vessel, as if the planet itself had sent a warning. Ilaria watched him from the back, holding her daughter close. Nari slept now, her breathing slow but steady, the medpod lights glowing soft around her tiny form. For a moment, the ship was quiet, and then Athena spoke her voice calm but heavy. Captain, we are being scanned. Carter turned sharply. By who? Unknown. Source signal is encrypted at high military grade, not Raelian, not standard human. Carter muttered under his breath. Someone heard the distress call, or someone expected this ship to return. Ilaria stepped forward, her face pale, her eyes troubled. She touched the console gently, as if feeling a memory rise from it. They are looking for us, she said. Carter faced her fully. Who is they? She hesitated. The silence was the kind that carried guilt and fear, the kind that belonged to people who had lost too much. Our own, she said. At last my people fled this world in great ships. They left behind the weak, the young, the sick. They said the floods had won. They said the planet would claim all life, but they lied to hide their shame. Some wanted to return, others wanted to erase the past. Carter frowned. And which ones are coming now? The ones who would rather erase. Athena interrupted before he could ask more. Incoming vessel detected. Approach speed, accelerating, class designation, mercenary, signature registered. Carter felt a chill. He had worked with mercenaries, fought against some, escaped. A few, none were predictable. Most were deadly. Ilaria gripped the medpod, her voice trembling. If they catch us, they will take Nari. Her blood carries a code, one our leaders feared, one they wanted to lock away. Carter stepped closer. What code? She held Nari tighter. Her child stirred, whimpering softly in sleep. A code of change, Ilaria whispered, a gene that could make our people stronger, kinder, more united. But the council believed change was danger. So they planned to remove all who carried it, including my daughter. Carter felt something in his chest, something old, something familiar. He had seen children hunted. Families abandoned, governments terrified of hope. Athena sounded the next alarm. Enemy vessel at medium range. Weapons not yet active, but targeting systems online. Carter moved to the pilot seat. No running, not yet. First we see what they want. He activated the outer monitors. A dark ship approached through the clouds, its shape sharp, predatory, silent, a black arrow aimed at their heart. A transmission blinked on screen. No face, no voice at first, just a signal demanding attention. Carter accepted it. A masked figure appeared, glowing eyes hidden behind layers of steel. Unknown vessel, release the alien subjects. The voice ordered, your cruiser will be spared. Carter leaned forward. What law gives you that right? The masked figure answered, the law of survival. They hold a threat to entire sectors. You may walk away or be removed. The screen went dark. Ilaria stared at Carter. You cannot fight them, not alone. Carter checked the thrusters, checked the shield, checked the weapons that were barely enough. I do not leave people behind, he said. Not anymore. He pulled the cruiser upward, toward the edge of the atmosphere where clouds turned thin and space waited like a cold open gate. Athena spoke again. Enemy vessel matching our climb. Weapons charging. Carter breathed slowly. If they wanted a chase, they would get one, but he needed time and space and luck. He glanced at Ilaria. Keep her safe. Whatever happens. Ilaria nodded, eyes fierce with a mother's fire. The cruiser broke through the last layer of storm. Stars appeared, quiet, steady, watching, waiting, but they were not alone in orbit. Not anymore. Behind them, the mercenary ship rose like a ghost with claws ready to claim its prey. And Carter knew this battle was no longer about escape. 'Twas about choosing what kind of human he wanted to be and what kind of future he was willing to fight. For the stars above were no longer silent. They watched as the human cruiser rose with fire behind it, chased by a shadow that belonged to no world, a mercenary ship built for capture and fear. Captain Carter kept one hand on the flight stick, the other on the weapons panel. His eyes stayed locked on the monitor, reading speed, distance, heat trails. He knew the enemy ship was faster, stronger, designed for taking lives, not saving them. Behind him, Ilaria strapped herself in beside the medpod. Her arms wrapped around Nari, who still slept under the soft glow of the medical shield. The child had not cried once since entering space, but her silence felt louder than the engines. Athena reported the obvious. Enemy craft closing in, weapons at 60% charge, interception in 2 minutes. Carter responded without a word. Instead, he shifted the cruiser sideways, cutting through a debris field of frozen satellites and wrecked cargo shells. Metal floated like forgotten bones, some from human ships, some not. Each piece of wreckage told a story that ended badly. The mercenary vessel followed through the debris, its shield deflecting metal without slowing down. Its hunger could be felt through the sensors. Calculated, cold. Ilaria leaned forward. Why do you not run to your people? You are human. They will protect you. Carter shook his head. They will not protect them. He nodded toward Nari. They will put her in a lab, open her up, see what makes her different. We protect her together, or not at all. Ilaria's expression shifted. She did not speak, but something changed in her eyes. Respect, perhaps, or trust that had been buried under years of betrayal. Athena spoke again. New signal detected. Human fleet patrol within transmission range. Would you like to request assistance? Carter paused. He could call the patrol, tell them he found a survivor and needed support. They would arrive in time, but they would take Nari, not with hate, but with rules. They would take her for tests, for containment, for control. She would live in a cage of clean walls and false kindness, not freedom. He looked at Ilaria. No call, not yet. We go dark. Athena obeyed, jamming transmission, silencing beacon, reducing energy trail. Carter guided the ship into a nearby moon's shadow, a frozen rock with no name. They dropped low, just above the surface, using the ice and rock to hide the mercenary ship. Paused in orbit. Its scanners searched wide, but Carter had gone invisible for now. Inside the cockpit, time passed slowly. Every breath felt heavy, every sound a possible alarm. Then Athena whispered again, "They are dropping a drone thermal search pattern, standard sweep 5 minutes, until detection." Carter stood, moved to the back of the ship, opened a narrow panel near the engine core. Inside were emergency tools and a stealth module used for smuggling refugees. It was illegal, unstable, and perfect. He installed the module quickly, wired it to the core. Ilaria stepped beside him. "What does it do?" "Hides us in plain sight," he said, "but it only works once, and only for a short time." She nodded. Understanding the risk, Carter returned to the cockpit, activated the stealth core. A low hum passed through the ship, then silence. The screens faded to black, power dropped to minimum. Outside, they looked like a drifting piece of ice. Nothing more. The mercenary drone passed above them. Slow, methodical searching, then it moved on, returning to the ship that still waited in orbit. Athena whispered, "The update enemy is leaving sector. Tracking signal is gone." Carter did not cheer. He had seen enough to know the enemy would be back, and next time they would bring more than one ship. He restored partial power, kept the engines cold, and plotted a new course, not to the human fleet, but to the edge of the map. A rogue station near the border of unclaimed space. A place where questions were few, and medicine was sold by people who did not ask who you were. As the ship turned, Ilaria reached out, touched Carter's arm. "Thank you." He nodded once, looked at Nari, still resting, still fighting for life without even knowing it. "Hold on, little one," he whispered. "The sky they stole from you, we will take it back." The rogue station appeared like a wound in space, twisting metal, broken lights, a place where rules did not follow and loyalty could be bought or sold. Captain Carter stared at it through the viewport. The station drifted above a dying gas planet, its outer rings barely held together by shields older than most ships here. Credits mattered more than laws, and stories were traded like fuel. Ilaria stood behind him, her daughter Nari still wrapped in medical cloth. She looked at the station with silent fear. This place was not meant for children, but it might be their last chance. Athena spoke softly. "Docking request granted. Bay 12 minimal life signs detected. High alert recommended." Carter adjusted course. The cruiser moved slowly, engines humming with caution. The landing bay was dark. No welcome, no guards, just shadows. As the ramp lowered, Carter stepped out first. He wore his armor light, no helmet, but his hand stayed close to his sidearm. 3 figures appeared from the mist. Humanoid faces, covered weapons, not drawn, but visible. One of them stepped forward, a woman's tall cybernetic arms, eyes glowing red. Carter nodded. He spoke with calm. "I need medical help fast. The girl is not human, but she is dying." The woman looked at him. Her voice was sharp, but curious. "Not many bring aliens here. Fewer walk in without backup." Carter replied, "I am not here for politics, just help." She nodded, motioned to follow. Inside the station, walls were covered in rust, and neon signs, languages, mixed together like smoke cellars called from broken booths. Drones buzzed overhead. They entered a back room, dim, quiet. The medic arrived, older man, half his face replaced with smooth silver. He scanned Nari without a word. Ilaria watched him closely. Her fists clenched. The medic turned to Carter. "She has damage in the lungs, low immunity. But her blood is not normal. This child. She carries something new." Carter kept his tone steady. "Can you heal her?" The medic nodded slowly. "I can, but there is a price." Carter narrowed his eyes. "What kind of price?" The woman with red eyes answered instead. "We want her blood, not all just enough to study. It could be worth more than this station." Ilaria stepped forward. Her voice was sharp with fury. "She is not for sale." Carter raised a hand gently, then spoke to the medic. "If I give you the data I have, you help her. No copies, no samples, just help." The medic looked at the woman. She said nothing, but her eyes scanned Carter. Then she gave a short nod. "Deal." Carter opened a private file from his cruiser. Data from Nariscans, coded locked. He deleted it as the medic confirmed the download. The medic began treatment, cleaned her lungs, used a machine that glowed with old alien tech. Ilaria held her daughter's hand the whole time, whispering words Carter could not understand. Time passed. Carter stood by the door, watching every movement. Trusting no one. Finally, the medic stepped back. She will live. Her body is strong. She just needed a little hope. Illyria cried, not loud, but real. Carter looked at her. Then at Nari, still asleep, but peaceful. The woman with red eyes leaned on the wall. You could have sold that data for a fleet you chose. Nothing instead. Carter looked her in the eyes. That child is not nothing. She stared at him, then gave a small smile. You are the dangerous kind of human. The one who makes others believe again. Carter turned away. His job was not finished. The mercenaries would return, and next time they would not speak. First, he guided Illyria and Nari back to the ship. Once inside, he sealed the doors. Checked every system twice. Athena waited silent but aware. Carter sat in the pilot chair, looked at the stars beyond the glass. That was the choice. Not between species, not between bloodlines, but between fear and courage. They had chosen to protect, to heal, to stand against the tide, and in doing so, they had become something rare in the universe. Not just survivors, but family. The stars looked different now, not because they had changed, but because someone had survived to see them again. Captain Carter sat in the quiet of his cruiser, drifting near a forgotten moon. The ship lights dim, shields low, no signals sent, no records kept. Illyria stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the stars. Her hands rested gently on the shoulders of her daughter. Nari sat in front of the viewing glass, her fingers tracing invisible lines across the sky. She was no longer pale, no longer fading. The light in her eyes was strong, curious, alive. For the first time since Relia drowned, the child laughed. Carter did not laugh with her, but he smiled, a quiet smile, the kind that only comes after choosing to do what others would not. Athena broke the silence, voice calm, almost soft. Captain, a signal is moving through black channels, encrypted, not traced, but the message is clear. Carter leaned forward. Show me. A line of text appeared on the screen. One line sent across systems, bouncing through hidden satellites and old trade routes. It read, the child lives. The cruiser chose hope. Rita. Her breath caught. They know, yes, Carter said, but not just the ones who chase. Others to rebels, medics, scientists, refugees. All those who believed change was possible, but never had proof. They would read that line, and they would know something had shifted. The child with the forbidden gene had not been erased. She had been protected, she had been healed, she had been loved, and in a galaxy full of fear. That was more dangerous than any weapon. Carter stood, moved through the cruiser. His boots made no sound on the metal floor. Every panel told a story now. Every bolt held a choice. He entered the cargo bay, opened a small compartment. Inside was the last copy of Nara's genetic data, sealed, hidden. He looked at it, then placed it in his hand, walked back to the central chamber, and dropped it into the purification core. The data burned, turned to ash, inside a white beam of heat, gone forever. Illyria watched without asking. She understood. No more bargaining, no more trading life for safety. Neri would grow, without chains, without codes. Without cages. Carter returned to the cockpit, checked the map. The cruiser still had fuel, still had wings. Where now? Illyria asked. Somewhere quiet, he said. Somewhere forgotten, somewhere a child can run without being chased. Illyria nodded. Her hand reached out, rested on his shoulder, not as a guest, not as cargo, but as someone who had chosen to stay. The engines powered up. The stars began to shift behind them. The galaxy turned slowly, unaware, or maybe pretending not to see, but deep within its corners, among the drifters and the dreamers, the message had started to spread that a human had risked everything. That an alien mother had trusted once more, that a child once marked for destruction had looked at the stars and smiled. In time, they would become a story. Then a rumor, then a myth, a tale told in shadow ports, in broken ships, in the silence between battles, the story of a cruiser that chose life over orders. A captain who said no when the world said run. A family that formed not from blood, but from fire and flood and choice. And those who heard it would pause, wonder, and perhaps the next time the stars asked them to choose, they would answer differently. The cruiser moved quietly into the dark, its path unknown. Its purpose clear: not to fight wars, not to lead fleets, but to protect the one life that could change them all. And in the silence of space, as Nari reached out again, her fingers brushing the glass, the stars blinked back as if saying, "We remember."